Make it a bit smaller and try and go on, because there is going to be riders coming across from the peloton. We can see there's a lot of action as the peloton turn the corner into the Coburg.
3 British riders up towards the front. Amazing. Luke Rowe still in here. Swift is still in here as Coppell has finally given everything he can. And I think Ian Stannard is the other rider. Magnificent ride by Stannard. They've got a teammate, or 2 teammates up here. Jonathan Tiernan-Locke floating along, looking very calm and collected. There is Luke Rowe at the front for GB. It's Stannard behind with his head down. He really is a monster, isn't he? He is absolutely shattered after the season. And there he is, right in the middle of your shot. Volker Mollema also in this group. They can see them coming up behind, and some riders suffering now. Jakob Fuglsang, Anacona from the front group. Who can shut this gap down? Getschke giving it as much as he can to do so, but it's going to be down to Volker Mollema and Carsten Kroon here on the right hand side. Here we go. The attacks are coming in again. Germany. Was that Degenkolb attacking? And here comes Alberto Contador again, as if he knew it was going to happen. Contador pushes Lokermans in the wheel. Alesi, a very underrated rider, Diego Alesi, in 3rd spot here. Vogler follows. Tiernan-Locke follows comfortably at the moment behind Meersman. And then there's a gap back to Robert Hessink. If they're going to push on, they've got to push on now. Tommy winds up the big gear. I'm not going to hang around, says Vogler. You might want to put a dig in, but he needs to have more than a dig to succeed here. He doesn't want to keep doing it all himself, but he wants to keep rolling it through quickly. Fletcher is finished for the day, and here come the peloton. There's a big split in the peloton as well here, Sean. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 riders. Some riders coming back to them, but look at the damage it's doing.
Some riders going forward and some riders going backwards, and it's really blown apart here. We can see gaps everywhere, and Contador, of course, you know, just putting in that acceleration here, and Vogler, as we mentioned, wanting to continue on, but it looks like now that's still quite a big group back in the main peloton, so we could see it. It's all going to come back together very quickly.
All coming back together. John Tiernan-Locke is keen to keep it rolling. Vogler was keen to keep it rolling as well. Surely, Sean, they're not going to do anything with this. Keep it rolling along. Albacini looks over his shoulder to see if they're coming at him. Some of those riders, what do they do? People like Albacini, do they sit in there or do they wait? Because the peloton is screaming down at them.
Yes, well, they're just going to be closed down any moment now by the peloton, and there's not a lot you can do at this moment with the peloton coming up at such a fast pace. It was, you know, early on when there was riders wanted to get carried along, weren't prepared to contribute, and now it's just over for the breakaway. So it's going to be an interesting final lap as we come through here. 2 laps to go, so we still have 2 times of the Coburg, and you know, it's going to be action all the way, because there's a lot of nations here who want to go on the attack before the climb, because they feel that they're not maybe good enough to match the attacks of the real strong riders on the Coburg itself. So I think it will be just an exciting final 2 laps.
Fletcher again sitting on the front now, setting pace. There are a big number of splits knocking about in this peloton now. Fröhlinger has had some problems staying up in there now. Christian Knies is working very hard. The leading group, the gap coming over. Flescher, Paulini, Van Evermaat, Clark, Howes, de Court, de Neufel, McCarter, Rowe, Leukemans, Hausler, Bonen, Stannard, Frere, Degenkolb, Kesink, Kesiakov, Sagan, Mollema, Moreno, Tiernan-Locke, Rodriguez, Swift, Haynau, Fuglsang, Lars Petter Nordhag. Boasson Hagen, Drucker of Luxembourg, Nibali, Nocentini, Tanner, Moser, they're all in there, Sean. They've all made it all back together now.
Yes, all in there, and it's going to be a spectacular final 2 laps. And will we see somebody, capable, a number of us capable of getting out of this group of big favourites and trying to form another breakaway, or will it all be down to the Coburg for the last final 2 laps?
Lawrence Tendam, one of the people we were saying could be an outsider. Janez Brakovic there. They're all tailed off. They've got a big gap now back to them, and their day is over, Sean. They're not even going to bother now. They'll just keep going because they know they can't make up the gap. It's only 2 laps to go. The leaders up here are going to have to battle it out once again.
Well, I think anybody who has been riding for a number of laps on the front and you lose contact with the main peloton of big favourites, well then you just go to the showers the next time through.
Yeah, why not indeed. Boasson Hagen 1, 2, 3 back here, I think. We did. You talked quite a lot to me about Boasson Hagen's possibilities, Sean, over the week. Do you still think he's just been waiting? He's now up here with a lap and 3/4 to go. Why not indeed?
Yes.
Now the big attack by the Spanish here. This is Samuel Sanchez.
Anybody we're seeing, I think, that we mentioned as one of the favourites, or maybe a little bit of the outside favourites that we can see here at the moment, it's a good indicator. And if we haven't seen them all day, a real good job, because we haven't seen a lot of the big favourites show themselves at all on their screens, and that means they're just sitting in there waiting, getting carried along in the main bunch all day.
Apart from the favourites, I mean, everybody likes to look at an outsider, somebody who might not come up on everybody's list of potential winners, and there are so many potential winners here in this race. Boasson Hagen was a good favourite winner as opposed to an outsider. My real outsiders were Tendam, who is not obviously in this front group anymore, but the man I've been talking about all week is Lars Petter Nordhaug for today, and we'll just have to see. He's made it into this front group. Albacini was another one. We've already seen him in action. Betancourt at the back, stretching out those hamstrings and quads. This is the problem now, Sean, fatigue for some of these riders.
Yes, well, it's going to be a problem, the distance now, and some riders starting to suffer, maybe feeling a little bit of cramp, so trying a bit of stretching, and this is again the part of the parkour where you can do that on this downhill, as we mentioned earlier. Have something to eat, have something to drink. If you need to try and do a bit of stretching, well, it's the only place you can really do it.
Daniel Martin up here as well. He's another good outside bet. I know, Sean, you think he's a bit tired and probably hasn't recovered well from the big programme he's had after the Olympics, but I think talking to him yesterday and talking to his dad as well, Neil Martin, I think he's probably come through it a bit better than we thought. The front group then, we'll give you the names, you'll have to take them all into account. Fletcher, Spain, Paulini of Italy, Varevermaet, Belgium, Clark, Australia, Howes, United States, De Kort, Netherlands, De Neufel, Austria, Mercato, Italy, Luke Rowe of Great Britain, Lurkemans, Belgium, Hausler, Heinrich Hausler, gosh, there's a blast from the past, Australia, Tom Bowden, Belgium, Ian Stannard, Great Britain, Frere of Spain, Degenkolb of Germany, Hessink, Netherlands, Kesyakov of Sweden, Sagan, Slovakia, Mollema, Netherlands, Moreno, Spain, Tiernan Locke and Ben Swift, GB, Rodriguez, Spain, Hainau, Colombia, Fuglsang, Denmark, Nordhaug is also in here. Boasson Hagen of Norway, Drucker of Luxembourg, and the list goes on.
Está claro que la Huerta, pues eso está ahí, el Tour también. Pero creo que bien, creo que llegó con buenas sensaciones, con buenas piernas y de mentalidad
well, obviously
también.
the Vuelta and the Tour are still there, so I do feel some tiredness. But I think I'm ready.
Ya has estado rodando en el recorrido. ¿Qué te parece? ¿Más duro o menos duro de lo que
You've already practiced a bit on the road. How do you like it? Is it harder or less hard than you thought?
Pensaba que iba a ser un poquito más exigente.
I thought it was going to be a bit tougher actually, but the reality is 267 kilometers, and having the Karlberg 1 kilometer from the finish line makes things very difficult indeed. Well, Outriding the other day came rocketing past us, just sprinting up the Karlberg, seeing how he could test his legs. Some riders managed to come back to the main peloton here, Sean.
Yes, and we can see the reason being there's just a little bit of slowdown on the front group of big favourites, and the riders that were in difficulty the last time on the Karlberg just managing to get back in again. But we will see the same situation. Anybody that lose contact on the Karlberg, the next 2 laps is going to be very difficult for them to hang into the main peloton, and it's going to be, again, an interesting situation. More attacks, and we will see the bunch exploding once again. But will they continue on after the Karlberg?
All the main peloton is back together, up towards the Bemleberg for the penultimate time, and they're just taking a little bit easy now, Sean, because as you say, there's going to be a huge attack on the Karlberg for sure, if they can possibly do it, to shed off a few people. They're not going to want to bring this many riders around to the Karlberg again.
No, there is, of course, nations and riders, they want to go on the attack. There's other ones who will want, just hopefully that it will go through this time the Karlberg without any major attacks. And we can see the German team there, Degenkolb, I see he's still in there. So, they will be hoping that it will not be really big explosive attacks on the Karlberg, because if they can get over this time and get to the final time of the Karlberg, then he could maybe hang in there. So there's riders with different tactics and different ideas, but of course the Spanish, they have quite a few riders in here, and I think they are one of the nations who will go on the attack. And Belgium, of course, now they're in a situation where they have to be careful. I think Philippe Gilbert, maybe Van Avermaet, those guys will have to react immediately if some of the Spanish go on the attack, because it's not going to be the situation as we've seen in the past where the Belgium team will be able to ride after the climb and close down the gaps that the riders will take from the attack on the Karlberg. So they will have to be real careful, and they will be just working the tactic out. And Tom Bone, of course, another one, he will try and just follow, not try and go on the attacks too much, because he doesn't like the sudden acceleration, because he's a power rider on these climbs. So different riders will be hoping for different things, but I think we will certainly see some attacks on the Karlberg this time again.
Heersman leads the peloton up the Bemleberg, penultimate time. GB all at the front again, Sean, as they've come back. We have Luke Rowe, Steve Cummings, Ben Swift, John Tiernan-Lock, and at the back Ian Stannard. But Ian Stannard's riding shotgun. This gives it, here we go, an attack from out of the peloton, wanting to try and get away. This time it's Talansky. Don't let him go, folks. As we said, the Bemleberg is a place where people could attack. Don't let Talansky go, and Stannard's gone after him. He is a remarkable rider, Ian Stannard. 244.8 kilometres run. Meersman continues to set the pace on the front here. Well, one thing's for sure is Talansky will be able to climb better than Stannard when they get to the Karlberg.
Yes, but a good move by Stannard, because if he can stay with Talansky here and they get a little advantage and go to the Karlberg, well, then he's in a real good position. 5-10 seconds of an advantage, he can get a long way up the Karlberg, and then he's over for another time. And I think that is the tactic of Stannard. And if he gets to the Karlberg, and we can see he wants to ride here, but I think if we get over the Karlberg with 2 leaders here, then Stannard will start playing the game of just sitting on the wheel of Talansky and trying to recover for the final time the Karlberg.
Andrew Talansky driving the duo along. Ian Stannard in the wheel. Not much time to indulge in one of his favourite passions at the moment, Stannard, drinking coffee. He's a terrific rider. Up until the Tour de France, he'd spent more time on the front of the peloton than any other rider doing work. Talansky is, well, it's the good move, of course, here as well, Sean, is that Talansky is a good outside bet. He can climb well, and he's very, very strong. Yes. He finished very well in the Vuelta a España, and if you sit on him or work with him, all the other nations have got to do all the work to pull it back. Stannard's up the road, and Tiernan Locke's team don't have to do anything.
No, and you know, for Stannard to be in the race at this moment, because this is a real difficult circuit for Stannard. I was expecting to get into difficulty, but you know, he's again in amazing shape and making the move. And I reckon that if he gets to the Corberg and can hold on to 15 seconds of advantage, well, that is a lovely position to be in, because then you can make the Corberg. And if Talansky is a little bit stronger and he rides away from, there will be more riders coming up from the rear, and that's what maybe the tactic is, that go to the Corberg with a little advantage over the main peloton. 12 seconds.
Tiernan Locke moving up around the outside, winner of the Tour of Britain. Luke Rowe still sitting second in line there behind Gianni Meersman, which is a terrific ride for Luke Rowe. Been brought into the Sky team, and actually I wondered how he'd perform in the Tour of Britain. Was magnificent, of course, took a stage as well, but magnificently good. But he's come here to one of the toughest arenas for this incredibly gladiatorial sport, and he's still hanging in there with a lap and a half to go, Sean. A very impressive ride. Yes. He's on the 23, remember?
Yes, again another really strong ride, because we all talked about the distance in the earlier part of our program, and that's where you can have difficulty after that 220 kilometers, but all hanging in here quite well, and to be up here in this company, it's to this moment is already a fabulous ride.
Stannard pulling on over the top of the Bemleberg. It's been a headwind all day here. Here, watch for the attack of Talansky. Comes from a long way back, and nobody really looks. Luke Rowe has a quick look. How quickly does Stannard react? He sees it from behind. He thinks that's a good move. That's clearly the plan. I'll sit behind you, Jonathan, and we'll cover anything that goes. Still a fierce old head to side wind here, isn't it? There, you can see it. Maybe it's eased off just a little, but it's still affecting them. If you've been up here 10 times, you certainly know about it, Sean.
Yes, this is a section where it starts to really hurt along here when you get to this stage of the race. And if you're in the peloton here, of course, you get the drafting, because there's a headwind, which is a total different situation than it has been all week. So for the riders on the front, it's a real difficult one. Or if you're really under difficulty to hang in the peloton on the rear, well then it's also a very difficult section of the parcours. And I think there's a little bit of just a lull here before the storm. They will all want to really get into the good position as we go down the descent for the Corberg this time. As we get closer to the finish, well, that's when it gets real important. The final 2 times up the Corberg is going to be of such an importance, and we will see there will be a lot of pushing and movement for positions back in the peloton to get to the Corberg in the real good position.
There's the 5 kilometres to go. A banner as they go through there. Got the stopwatch on it just to tell you what the gap is here, and I think it's going to be only about 10 seconds, a little bit more. 12, 13, 14 seconds the gap for our 2 men out the front here, with 20.9 kilometres to the finish. Oh, look at the sky overhead, Sean. We may get a downpour in the last lap. Or maybe the cameraman's just shut the iris down on the camera. Oh, I think that's probably what it is. The cameraman opens up the iris, that's a little more light in. You see, it probably isn't quite as dark as it looks. 14 seconds for Stannard and Talansky. Last time but one around the roundabout at the very top of the Bemlerberg. Now the streaming descent down into Valkenburg. Stannard won't be afraid of that, neither will Talansky. They'll give it full beans on the way down and into the Karlberg. Stannard, I feel, will struggle to hang on to Talansky. And Meersman is having to do an awful lot of work today. He's been in the break. Having said that, he was in the break and then sat on for a long time. Diego Ulisi in the centre of the shot for the Italians. Again, Nibali is just hiding and hiding and hiding at the moment. I think he may well have a go on this last climb, Sean.
Well, it would not surprise me if we have a go. As we see, we're inside the 20 kilometres to go, and you know, the riders that feel for the final sprint, they're not going to have a chance to match some of the other riders that are capable of getting to the sprint. They have to go in the attack, and Nibali is one of them. We can see in the front of the group there's a lot of movement as we go down the descent here to get onto the Karlberg. Just teams and domestiques just keeping the pace high, trying to position their favourites or their leaders into a good position for the Karlberg this time round.
Super fast descent, all using all of the road. Looks behind him, does Stannard, to see where the peloton is, not where anybody else is. Talansky being the other one. Round into the Karlberg they go. Oh, it's not very many seconds now. Oh, don't overshoot the corner, boys. Who's going to go? Who's going to go? I tell you what, we're on the edge of our seats here. This is where we all start to sit bolt upright and lean towards the screen. Tiernan Locke is in the middle. He's waiting, and rightly so. Don't go yet. Don't go yet, because you know you can go on the last time up. You run the risk, but you can do it. Go now and you won't have anything left, Jonathan. Stannard is leading Talansky up here now, and one of the Polish riders in trouble. 128, it's Ruchikovic. Valverde on the right. In the middle, Philippe Gilbert. Stannard is going off by himself. Go on, boy. Tell you what, if you win the World Championships, I'll buy you a new coffee machine. Go on. That's a great ride. That's a great ride. He really is an absolute monster in the nicest possible way.
And Russia going the attack.
Well, what's the betting that's Kolobnev? Nibali, away we go on the left-hand side. Gilbert straight into the wheel. We're not having that, says the Belgian. Vincenzo Nibali hits out of the front. Then it's Gilbert, Valverde, Tiernan Locke, Bosenhagen. Oh no, it's not Bosenhagen. I don't even think it's Nordau either. Oh, Nibali's really driving this one. Look at the way he's strung everything out here. Jonathan Tiernan Locke looks very, very good indeed. Oh, Nibali's not going to stop. He knows he can hammer down here. Stannard still clinging on. Nibali wants to drive it. Nibali wants to go, and Philippe Gilbert says, you know what, if I keep chasing Nibali, I'm going to be in trouble here. I'm going to drop back a little bit, and we'll see where we can go from there. But Vincenzo Nibali has decided now is the time for him. And that's Faulkner right at the back of that group. Thomas Faulkner, as he comes into your shot now. I don't see Bonin. Have you seen Bonin go through at all, Sean?
No, I haven't seen Bonin, but it's still a very big group of riders, as we can see here.
Ah, yes, he's there in the middle. Bonin is in the... Moreno comes to the front to do some work. This is Daniel Moreno. They have to chase him because he's such a good climber. He can easily get up the Coburg. Now Belgium have to try and pull along and shut him down a bit. France here too. And it looks like Austria. Nibali does not want to do all the time. He's swung from one side of the road wildly to the other, saying, I'm not going to do it. Waiting for somebody else to chase them down. All clever stuff. Van Avermaet is in the group. Nordhaug it is, I think, in that group. Lars Petter Nordhaug it was. I think he's growing a bit of stubble there, which is why I didn't recognise him. Moreno, Van Avermaet, De Neefel, Vokla, Nordhaug, Daniel Martin, Stannard, Nibali, Valverde, Leukemans, Degenkolb, Rodriguez, Boysenhagen, Tiernan Lok, Gatto, Samuel Sanchez, Decourt, Kolobnev, Clark, Rui Costa, Sagan, Paulini, Bazayev, Gilbert, Grifko, Davis. This is a huge group still here, Sean.
Yes, a real big group, and we could see there, Nibali, he made a big attack, but still he had a lot of riders in his wheel, and more riders coming back here, so it's still going to be a very big group, and it's going to be a lot of attacking, I think.
Here he goes again. Vincenzo Nibali is not content to just sit there. Dan Martin, third in line. Ian Stannard, second in line. Björn Leukemans of Belgium. And then there's that Sanchez, Samuel Sanchez. Yes, Samuel Sanchez of Spain. Thomas Faulkner of France.
And the Germans closing it down once again, so they must have a confidence in their sprinter technical, because the last 3 laps they have been very active, and up to that moment we haven't seen them at all, but they're coming to the fore at the right moment.
Nibali being followed up by Clark. Simon Clark is still in here, Sean. Look, 37. We did say he's a possible outsider. We wondered whether he had enough in the legs. Simon Clark now moves towards the front with Björn Leukemans into his wheel. And then onto the wheel of Leukemans goes Stefan Danevel, who's riding a great race from the Russians as well. Watch out for you back in GB. Number 8 there with the black helmet on is Jonathan Tiernan Lok. He's still in this select group. That's a magnificent ride, regardless. Stannard has been mighty for GB, but I have to say, he's done a lot of stuff at this level. 2 Norwegians in here. Edvald Boysenhagen, 68. Number 69 is Lars Petter Nordhaug. 18 with the green helmet there for Spain, Alejandro Valverde. Bonin at the back of this group. I wonder what's going through Tom Bonin's mind here. A little bit of a fake to the camera there. Let's blow out the cheeks. Sergio Heno is in this group as well for Colombia. Oh, I tell you what, Sean, this is going to be a massive sprint up the Coburg.
Yes, it's going to be an interesting one, and we can see Tom Bonin there just to the rear of the peloton, but starting to move up pretty quickly to the front end, and we can see the 2 Irish guys, Dan Martin and Nicholas Roach, doing a great ride here to be in this company at this moment. They have to be in good shape, and I was concerned about Dan Martin, that from his races in Canada that he wasn't recovered, and Nicholas Roach, of course, in the Tour of Spain seemed to struggle in the end, but both riding a great race here today.
Both riders we know particularly well, Daniel Martin and Nicholas Roach, are cousins. Neil Martin married Stephen Roach's sister Marie. Look at Rui Costa being brought to the front here as well. He's another outsider. We've never mentioned him at all because we haven't seen him really. Rui Costa for number 65 there for Portugal. Superb rider. Rigoberto Urán, number 105, is jettisoning all sorts of things from his pockets, so there's no more weight. Nibali is sitting and waiting again now. Around the corner along this short squirt, and they go left again. They're being led by Simon Clark of Australia in those gold and green hoops. Then the familiar blue of Belgium with the hoops around the chest, with Björn Leukemans the first man in line. Greg van Avermaet, Bonen is in there, Gilbert is in there. I think they're definitely working for Gilbert. Bonen would like his chance, but I think he sees Gilbert has the better form here. And then Moreno of Spain, leading his trade teammate and team leader Joaquim Rodriguez, also of Spain. Thomas Vauclair is by himself here for France. Here we go into the climb up to the Bemlerberg for the last time. Clark is drilling it along. Gerrans must be in this group here somewhere, although you can't see him in your screen at the moment. Simon Gerrans, winner of Milan-San Remo, terrific rider over this sort of distance and this sort of terrain, and a real threat.
Yes, Gerrans and Alan Davis also in here, you know, he has to be in good shape to get this far. And another one, if he gets to the sprint, you know, he always has a good sprint on him. So, and at the end of a race like this, it's all about how much you have left in the tank. So Australia, we can see there's at least 3 riders from Australia in this leading group.
This is interesting. So you at home, who did you pick at the beginning of the week? I picked Nibali and Nordhaug. Let's see how they go. Dan Martin on the left hand side in the emerald green of Ireland with the blue helmet. Spoke to him last night. Moreno, Van Avermaet, De Neefel, Vauclair, Nordhaug, Martin, Stannard, Nibali, Valverde, Leukemans, they're all in here. Andrei Grifko still in this group as well for the Ukraine. Bazayev of Kazakhstan. There's all sorts of riders who've come to this race with the right shape, Sean, that you probably wouldn't expect to still be here. I mean, they're good riders. Kolovnev is still here. He's sure to go on the attack, surely. Oscar Gatto. Somebody said, is Oscar Gatto an outside bet? Well, why not? Anybody's got a chance now. Bigger group than you expected, Sean?
No, I think I was forecasting, you know, 35, 40 guys at the finish, possibly a bit more depending on the conditions, and we have certainly 35 riders here of 35, 40 riders, so as expected. And you know, a lot of names that we mentioned during the week, the riders who come here, depending on the style of race. If the weather conditions is good, well then you could get that 40 riders going into the final time of the callback.
Samuel Sanchez, the former Olympic champion, sits on the front. Says it still hurts when he's off the bike after his crash in the Tour de France, but actually when he's riding it doesn't make any difference at all. Coming back into form, rode the Tour of Britain last week. And looked okay. Nobody was prepared to work with him. This is Contador coming up around the outside with on his wheel immediately Rodriguez, number 16. Little push in the line from Gilbert for Contador there. Get in the line. Rodriguez must be a huge threat to everybody here now, Sean. And Valverde is just hanging back a little bit. There's Gerrans right in the middle of your shot. Oh no, that's Davis. Alan Davis is there. There is just behind him Simon Gerrans, 39. When do they start jostling for position, Sean? When do they really start jostling?
Well, I think at the moment the pace is being kept quite high by Samuel Sanchez, and everybody is just comfortable at the moment to stay just in the slipstream in line here. But as we get to the top of this climb, before we make the descent to the Corberg, that's where it will all start to push on once again. And I think this time it's going to be really nervous that you get a good position, so there will be, as we see the last time, pushing and a lot of movement on the front of the bunch. And there's a riders in here. There's a lot of very good finishers, as we see Gilbert, Alan Davis, as you said, but Sagan also in here. So
yes.
A lot of very good sprinters. Degenkolb also, in this group. So it's going to be an interesting one. And there's other riders who want to go in the attack and try and just get an advantage on the climb of the Corberg and go all the way to the finish. Other ones who just want to get over the Corberg in a good position and hopefully get to the sprint. So it's going to be a real decisive one on the Corberg this time.
It's all split up. There's no more chances to attack on the any other places now. You either got to hang with it now until the top of the Bemleberg and just get some sort of micro recovery, as Contador now does the work on the front. He's making the pace so hard for other people. This is being set up for Rodriguez or Valverde, whichever one gets to a better position at the top, at the bottom of the Karlberg. Well, is Jonathan Tiernan-Lok just taking a little breather if he can, or is he now beginning to struggle from the distance, because he's right at the back of this group now, Sean?
Well, he looks to be comfortable. The last time on the Corberg he was very much to the fore of the peloton and looking quite good, and it will be interesting to see how much he's got. I reckon he looked as comfortable as everybody else last time up the Corberg, but this time it's going to be, I think, a real fast run up the Corberg. There's going to be riders who want to go in the attack, but again, a lot of times we see that they wait and they only go in the last 100 metres, 150 metres, and if that is the case, well then the riders who are in a little bit of difficulty, who are struggling a bit, they get more confidence as they go every 10 metres further up the climb. You get a bit more confidence. You say, I can make this, I can stay with this group. So you just dig in that bit deeper and you can make it over the top with the leading group.
Well, he's only going to do it once more as they come up to the top of the Bemleberg for the final time. It's the winner of the Vuelta a España, and tactically brilliant Alberto Contador is driving them along on the front here. Simon Clark still looking very good, hanging tough there. And riders fighting to stay in here at the moment. Robert Hessink at the back, number 48. 93, Michael Albacini of Switzerland is still in here, another outsider. Clark. Gerrans is still biding his time, waiting. Rodriguez riding in the wind there a little bit. Stannard has brought Tiernan-Lok closer to the front. They have to be a bit closer to the front now, Sean, because it won't be long before they have to start whizzing down into Valkenburg again.
Yes, and you can see here there's a bit of movement on the front of the bunch. The Australians, we can see the Italians starting to appear here. The Belgians, of course, are all together there on the front line of the peloton as well. And it's just going to get more and more nervous as we get to the descent to the Corberg.
A little upping of pace again by Alberto Contador. Simon Clark happy to sit with him in the wheel. Alisi of Italy close to the front. Ulisi is pulled over to the right hand side of the peloton, left hand side of your screen, by Luca Paolini, the faithful lieutenant of so many team captains in the World Championships for Italy. And at the right hand side of the peloton, that is in the Azzurri colours, Vincenzo Nibali. Sanchez is gritting his teeth as Björn Leukemans, who we've seen excel in Paris-Roubaix and does pretty well in Flanders as well, comes to the front. Degenkolb is still here, Sean.
Yes, very much so, and we can see the Germans, 3 riders there together, and they are certainly going to try and keep Degenkolb in a good position as we come to the Coburg. He has to be in the top 10 riders, and when you have a number of teammates about you, it's all possible.
Well played by Ian Stannard. Once again, he did this job perfectly for Mark Cavendish last year in Copenhagen. I still no idea how he got through the gap that he got through with Cavendish on his wheel, and he's looking over his shoulder all the time, keeping Tiernan Lock up towards the front. Over to the left-hand side of the peloton goes Simon Clark. He's done everything he can. Tiernan Lock has to fight for his position here, because they're going to get swamped by the bigger nations, the nations who are more experienced than perhaps he is. Stannard is going to be absolutely crucial to him here. Martens of Germany is just ahead of Tiernan Lock. He's looking behind him all the time, Stannard, to see where Tiernan Lock is. On the left-hand side of the screen, the Australians perfectly marshalled for Gerrans there. 1, 2, 3. Moreno looks over his shoulder to see where Samuel Sanchez is, and then where Rodriguez is. Ulisi is doing a good job on the front here. Nibali in the centre of the shot, in the blue with the green helmet. On his left shoulder, Paolini knows a thing or two about this sort of racing. Round the roundabout for the last time. Now it's that descent down into Valkenburg. It's nearly all over, Sean. I can't believe it. It's nearly all over.
Yes, it's going to be an interesting one on the Coburg, and now it's going to really down the descent here. We can see again the Australians wanting to push on, a Belgian rider in the front there, and a lot of movement for position here to get as we come to the just over 4 kilometres to finish, and of course the Coburg is the place where it could be all decided.
Remember, we mustn't forget, you must not forget, if you're watching this race, there's 1.7 kilometres over the top of the Coburg. Once they get to the Coburg, they've got to make sure that they keep going. They have the power to keep going. Italy start to drive it down the hill here. Stannard doing a good job, but he seems to have lost Tiernan Lock a little bit. He's looking behind. Tiernan Lock is in the middle, sitting behind Tom Bonin. Don't worry, Ian, keep going. Not many riders can do that at speed, Sean, looking over their shoulders all the time.
Certainly not. There's not a lot of riders would dare to do it, but you can see he is, the one has a lot of practice, and he has a difficulty there. Tiernan Lock, difficult to follow. He's getting a little bit boxed out by the bigger riders. I'm not surprised, because you see the riders Bonin that's up there. There's a lot. Jürgen Roland is doing a real good job for Bonin to keep him in the front end of this group.
Thomas Faulkner's been hiding himself nicely at the moment. Here we come. Here we come. It's crunch time. It's the deciding time. Down to the bottom of the hill. It's hard right as Paolini leads them through with Nibali in second place. It's now or never for anybody who wants to win this World Championships. Vincenzo Nibali sitting in second spot at the moment. Jürgen Rollins looks over his shoulder to see Tom Bonin. Azan Bazayev is still in this group. This must be the chance of a lifetime for Bazayev. Number 13 there in the colours of Spain. Still to just wick up the gas is Joaquim Rodriguez. Oh, the Belgians are all over this at the moment as Nibali goes forward. It's Nibali followed by Lukemans. Rollins looks over his shoulder. Oh, they're doing distance. Here comes Gilbert. Gilbert is going for it for a long way out. Philippe Gilbert has got the kick. Is he going to make it? Here comes Edouvald Boasson-Hagen. The Russian who's going for it at the moment is Alexander Kolobnev. He's always there or thereabouts in the World Championships. Kolobnev is tracking down Gilbert. A huge roar from the crowd. Philippe Gilbert, there's masses of Belgian fans who want to see this man as world champion. He's got a very good gap here, Sean.
Yes, and he's looking impressive as well, because when you go that early to keep it going, but for the moment he's keeping it going very well. As you see, Boasson-Hagen really impressive here for the moment.
Boasson-Hagen, Kolobnev and Valverde. They've got a big gap to make up on Gilbert. Has he got enough in the legs? That's a big gap. And Boasson-Hagen's looking behind him. Don't look! Right! lost him, Sean. This man is going to be world champion. They're not going to get him back, and they're going now for silver and bronze. And Kolobnev it is who's going to get another medal. But nobody, I think, is going to catch Philippe Gilbert at this moment, unless he dies in the last 50 metres or so. Well, Gilbert is giving everything here.
Yes, he has a really good advantage, and I suppose the advantage he's got is they're not a big group of riders. We see three chasers here, and it's always the same situation where they're going to look at each other, but still it's a long way to the finish from here.
Philippe Gilbert basically said to his men, get me to the finish, and boom, I'm off. Valverde, Kolobnev, Boazenhagen playing the game for the silver medal now. Philippe Gilbert is under the 1 kilometre to go banner. The man who had the most dreadful start to the season after a stellar 2011. Everybody thought he was going to be unbeatable in 2012, but it didn't happen for him. He didn't win a single classic. He got a place, but he didn't win one. 2 stages in the Vuelta a España confirmed he was coming into shape. And look at this. There's not a single person in the peloton can touch the Walloon Belgian. He's going to be world champion. He knows it. They know it. We know it. Philippe Gilbert takes the best time of his entire life. He's won the classics, but nobody can take away a world championship for you as Edvald Boazenhagen pushes on for the silver medal. But that was an almighty attack by Gilbert, waving the crowds. The Flemish Lion is out, and Philippe Gilbert is the winner. Valverde gets bronze. Degenkolb gets 4th, I think. And Boazenhagen gets a silver medal. Extraordinary finish. Gilbert, they took him to the bottom, and that's it. Kawala for everybody else. It's curtains. They did a good job. Those two men, Greg Van Evermaat and Björn Leukemans, did a fabulous job setting him up. And he just waited, and as soon as Nibali decided to attack, he said, I'm off. Philippe Gilbert. Now, at the end of April, Sean, and into May, would you have thought this man could be world champion?
Well, I think when you look at the season he put up last year, you'd say he's going to come around. When will it be? It was a matter of when, and it's just taken a long time. I was expecting after the Classics, I said the Tour of France, he'll be really on top shape, but not really getting to his best at the Tour of France. But it's the Tour of Spain, the last number of weeks, he seems to be just getting better all the time. But what a performance there to attack at that point and pull that advantage. He pulled a huge advantage over everybody else, and the others were just sprinting on the climb to try and close him down, and just a magnificent victory. And the Belgians badly need it, because the last one was Museo back in '96, and then you have to go to 1990 to Rudy Dannens.
That's a long time. We've had a Belgian winner here, of course, in the World Championships in Limburg, Eddie Merckx, back in 1967 when he beat Jan Janssen. But that was a magnificent performance by Philippe Gilbert. Oh, he's a proper bike rider. He's a proper bike rider. Oh, terrific stuff. Well, it just goes to show he's head and shoulders above everybody in the last 1.5 kilometres. That's really what it was. Well, such an elite group, such a big group of such good riders on good shape.
Yes, well, Philippe Gilbert, we see it last year when you get a climb like the Corberg. He's just so explosive. He can ride away and take that 150 metres an advantage. But the question was, when you get to the Corberg summit, a kilometre 700, we could see that Valverde, Boazenhagen was chasing down with Kolobnev. They just had a moment where they hesitated and not chasing, and that's where Gilbert just really rode away. But still, I think he was always going to hold on, but won't convincingly.
Oh yes, absolutely. Gilbert, Boazenhagen and Valverde take the medals. Another medal for Valverde, but still not world champion. Degenkolb, that's a brilliant performance by Degenkolb and Lars Bohm and Alan Davis. Thomas Forkler and Navadalskis. Where on earth did he come from?